Hey friends, welcome back to Game Brigade. I am Brian, and today we're talking about the month in review. We kind of just had an episode in late February because I missed earlier launching in January, so this might feel a little bumped up closer to the previous episode. But we're going to basically cover everything I did February to the beginning of March, basically. Talking about what I played, what I've been watching, what I've been just doing. Just giving you an update on the back end of Game Brigade and giving you more insight on my life. So again, as I always say, this is like a podcast-like episode. So if you are watching this, you're more than welcome to do other things in the meantime, because this is meant to be enjoyed. Now, we will have some visual stuff I'll be showing throughout the show, but I always want to remind you that it is not imperative to be watching this. So let's talk about it. I want to talk about some movies I've been watching. We watched a few new movies and new series, and I also watched a lot of my old. I literally put my pen up here because I was like, I don't want my pen in my hand, but it just feels like it's like a tick. I need it. It makes me feel better. So I watched Outpost on Netflix. This is one of the new series that I watched, or new shows that I watched. I don't know if anyone has seen that. But it is basically a true story about a outpost that was in Afghanistan at the very beginning of the Afghan war with the United States. And basically it tells a story about an outpost that was in a strategically poor position, basically at the bottom of a valley. Normally when you're defending, you never want to be at the bottom of the valley because it gives your opponents easy sightlines to engage you. And this one was just a very, very bad outpost. And it talks about basically the story of the people there as they were doing their job. I don't want to spoil anything. It's a very good story. It's graphic, but it is a true story and a true encounter. So I would recommend, if you are a military buff or a veteran, PTSD warning for people who are veterans, by the way, but it's a very, very good TV show. So I would recommend that one to a lot of people. Talking about Captain America. Let's talk about Captain America. Talking about the Marvel series. As you guys have known for the past few months, I've been working my way through the MCU, going basically timeline order. So not release date order, but timeline order, in order of how the show would work if everything was sequential. We had last stopped on Thor: The Dark Side, I believe. The Dark Side something, I don't know, movie. And that one held us up for like a month. It was a roadblock because we got about halfway through. My wife was not interested in watching it anymore. I'd already seen it and I roughly remembered it. But again, it wasn't like neither of us wanted to finish it, because we usually watch these movies when we're eating dinner or something, and we'd rather watch something else. So I actually told my wife, I was like, you know what, want to just watch a 5-minute synopsis and then we can move on. And she agreed. So watch the Thor Dark Side synopsis, basically telling us what happens. And then we moved on to Captain America Winter Soldier, which was just immensely better than Thor. Really enjoyed it. It was actually the first time I've seen it since the theater on release. I think that movie came out in 2013, 2012-ish, around that area. So it was basically like watching the movie again for the first time. Really, really enjoyed it. Captain America is one of my favorite Marvel superheroes as it is. So I really enjoy him as a character. And I like to see parts of that show, that movie, where it shows him being vulnerable, being able to be injured by bullets and whatnot. Because so many of the superheroes are just, they give you the feeling that they're impenetrable. They can't be defeated in any way. But this gave Captain America a little bit of that mortality. Like, yeah, he's still a guy. He's just got super strength, effectively. So I really enjoyed that. And then directly after Captain America was Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. Technically the second one, but that's where we're at right now. Really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, another movie I haven't seen since the theater. I actually saw that around my birthday when it released. And I honestly think Guardians of the Galaxy is probably, when I watched it, turned me on to wanting to be more like watching the Marvel shows, because it was so freaking funny. Really, really liked it. Again, this time was really good. So that's where we're at right now. So we're on Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which I did not like as much the first time I watched it. I've only seen it once as well. So I'm excited to kind of get through that one. From there, I had my friend here. I talked about this in February. I had a friend visiting, and he just has not seen any movies. Like, we're going through my collection. He's like, nah, I never seen that, never seen that. Like, never saw Gladiator, never saw Alien or Aliens. Like, it's like this kid's been living under a rock his whole life. So we basically watched a bunch of movies that I felt like he should watch. Not like necessarily that they're like Oscar nominated movies, but like just they're iconic in some way, like Top Gun or whatever. So we ended up one of these. I don't think it was for him, in my opinion. But Starship Troopers, one of my favorite movies growing up. I love it because there's a lot more going on than people think when they're watching it for the first time. I think, one, it's a very good war movie for sci-fi war movies, but there's also a lot of narratives going on. Yes, it can be campy, but like that's the point. Like, it's meant to be campy. It's meant to show propaganda and how it impacts people. So I really enjoyed that movie. He didn't like it very much, which was kind of surprising. And then we watched Lone Survivor, and that one's another kind of controversial in terms of how some accounts have been, but it's technically a true story about 4 Navy SEALs who went on a mission, Operation Red Wings, and effectively their story in that, and how they were encountered by a Afghan Taliban group, and how they survived or not survived. Either way, Lone Survivor. Take it as you want with that. And really good. Now, there is some controversy based on how many fighters there were. The reports from people were 200. Some people said there was 10, which is a very large discrepancy. I take it from the people that were there, and I believe their word. But you can, if you're interested in the drama, you can read more about that one. And then we watched Last Samurai, which I think is just an incredible movie. I really like Last Samurai. I know I'm a Tom Cruise fanboy. I'm openly admit that I love Tom Cruise. I think he's a great actor, and I have yet to see a movie that I have not enjoyed from Tom Cruise. And Last Samurai is just another movie that I've probably one of those movies that you can watch over and over again, and I always enjoy watching it. So this might have been my 6th or 7th time watching Last Samurai, and this time I really got to appreciate the cultural sensitivities I felt like they did within the movie to kind of be sensitive to Japanese culture and the samurai and whatnot. So I really enjoyed that. My friend liked it a lot. Of course, I sat there crying halfway through the movie. I'm crying because I know how the movie ends and how characters develop, and so seeing them in the beginning of the movie and when I'm just blubbering, I'm like that. I'm a very empathetic guy, so I feel it. So, and then right now, what I'm watching about halfway through it is Shooter, which is an old movie with the same guy from Lone Survivor. I want to say Marky Mark. I hate saying Mark Wahlberg. So right now I'm watching Shooter. I saw that on an airplane when I was traveling to France, and so I figured, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Let's watch it again. Kind of interesting. All my movies are very war heavy this time, but that's what we're watching. TV shows, though. You might be wondering why these two ladies are hanging out in front of me. That's because we just finished Arcane on the League of Legends show on Netflix, and really, really impressed with Arcane. I think Riot Games has created a world where the characters have a lot of narrative depth involved with them, and the first series that was on Netflix shows that by featuring these two characters right here. We have Vi and we have Jinx. Both of these characters from just playing League of Legends were some of my favorite characters as it was, especially, both of them. I love both of them. And so seeing Arcane, which centers around them, was even better for me. I really, really enjoyed it. And I really liked learning more of the backstory between how they became who they were, how Vi has these, large gloves on, how Jinx is the way she is, because if you play the game, Jinx is just kind of crazy. There's a great music video for Jinx when they released her as a character that they also released side by side, which gives you a great impression of Jinx's personality. So being able to watch the show and get that, and I will say it's a very adult-oriented show, so I would say it's not friendly for children. I think unless your kids are with parents, so PG. Again, I'm not the rating board, but I would say parental guidance suggested if you're going to watch it with your children. But I really enjoyed it. And I have a lot of League of Legends miniatures throughout the house that I, kind of collect, especially for the characters that I I just, enjoyed playing or whatever. So I don't know if you've seen it. Jinx usually is hanging out back here. Vi was over here for a while, but now she's joined the rest of them up there on the wall. So just want to make sure I brought them out and kind of showed it, because I really like the show, and I'm really impressed with these miniatures that Riot creates. I think they're great priced, and they're on their merch store if you want to check them out. So that's basically a rough rundown of all the entertainment and whatnot. I'm reading a book, by the way. Oh, I got a bunch of books. Target had their buy two get one free sale, so I was able to finish getting some books. You might see that some of my books are gone. I have some of the Thrawn series right here. There's a new series for Thrawn that just got released as well, so I picked up all the rest I had missed from that, and I'm currently reading the original. I think it's Heir to the Empire or something like that. It's the original Thrawn series from back in like early 90s. So I'm reading that right now. I'm on book 2. So we're moving through. So I'm going to finish that series again. I'm going to go back to this series because I was going to read this one, and then I was like, there's an original Thrawn story. I want to read the Thrawn original story. Then I'll come back to these Thrawn, because Thrawn's one of my favorite characters. I don't know if you know who Thrawn is, but he should have been the main villain for the sequel trilogy. I think they really blundered the sequel trilogy in general. Disney did, unfortunately, especially when they have all the source material for a great finale. They really blundered it. But that's what I got. So I'm reading that book. We'll talk about that more when I get through it. I have a lot of stuff I'm working on, so it's hard to always read when I want to. So that's all the stuff. But let's talk about new games. What's new? So relatively, this is going to be a boring. Let's move these girls over here. This is going to be a relatively weird month for new games because the games I have are technically not new, to me, but they are new. So the first one is War of the Ring 2nd edition. So I already own War of the Ring. In fact, we'll talk about that one here in a second. And this, funny enough, I just did a video about I make bad decisions, and this might be one of them. I'm not sure. But let's talk about it. I love War of the Ring. It's a you could say 2 to 4 player. I think it's a 2-player game, very akin to Rebellion, Star Wars Rebellion, which is another popular game, where players will be playing as either the Shadow, so Isengard, the orcs and all those guys, versus the free people, so dwarves, elves, humans, etc., in an open battle. So think like Risk or something. That's very basic thinking Risk, but just to give you an idea, dudes on a map. But you're also going to have the ring bearers who are going to be making their way to the to Mount Doom to throw the ring in, and so the free people cannot win this game generally, it's impossible, but generally through open combat, because the mechanic that I really, really love in this game is that as the free people lose figures, so you know how you lose figures in combat, you normally take them back to your supply, then you can re-recruit. Well, in this game, for the most part, when you lose a unit as a free people, so the humans and elves, those pieces are gone. You will not have access to them ever again. And the orcs and the shadow player, though, if they lose creatures, they can just replenish them. They can just keep building. So they have an endless supply of units that they can keep bringing to the board. So it gives the humans have to really think about strategy. They can't obviously go to open battle and fight continually in the field. They have to think of strategy. They have to sometimes retreat back to their keep, think about maybe using different types of strategies of flanking maneuvers. What I also love about this game is it almost recreates the feeling of the movies or books, such as Helm's Deep with Isengard. It just is so great. So why did I buy the 2nd edition? Well, the 1st edition is a very good game, but there are some things with it that were quality of life fixed in the 2nd edition. And I didn't necessarily feel like I need I need some water, but I don't have any, that I needed the quality of life fixes. But there are some expansions that I wish I could enjoy in War of the Ring, and I have one of them. So let's talk about that. I'm trying to give you guys some context here as we talk about board games. So obviously, here's my copy of War of the Ring First Edition. Okay, I have a very rare expansion for War of the Ring First Edition, but this is unpunched and it's totally sealed, except for the wrapping's gone. But interior wise, it's still basically new, and it's pretty valuable. So I've not wanted to actually bust it open and enjoy the expansion. So I've been missing out on a lot of that content. Other than that, there's obviously, like I said, quality of life fixes. They made the cards bigger so they're a little bit easier to read. They made the map more legible. I don't know if you can see this, but in the back, the mountain ranges have black bars basically saying this is a mountain range. Those are very hard to distinguish in the first edition. And there's little towns and villages that are here. You obviously can't see them here. Which are just indicated by little symbols in the first edition, but you still need to recognize them because they matter, because it'll determine, is it a town or is it a city or is it a stronghold? Well, those are more clearly defined here in the second edition. But I was able to also pick up the expansions. Unfortunately, these two expansions are like combined in the one expansion that's here. But I was able to pick up both of them, add them to the box, so that way I can actually enjoy all of the content of War of the Ring and have those quality of lives. So with that, let's put these away. Put them back over here. With that means Lord of the Rings First Edition, as well as the expansion, will be moving on in my next games leaving the collection. So these two will be moving on, unfortunately. I'm not going to be, a part of me wanted to hold them off as a collector to just say, yes, this is a rare copy, pretty good condition, and this one is basically brand new. But the reality is I don't need it to hold it as a collector because I don't have like many collectibles. My entire collection is basically built around good games, but no, other than maybe one or two games that are like collectible games. So I don't really feel the need that I have to hold on to it. So these will be going away in the next games leaving the collection update. Let's move this way over here to kind of get out of the way. Which brings me to the next game. Eclipse. This is the first edition Eclipse, which I have enjoyed immensely. The amount of times I've played Eclipse New Dawn for the Galaxy, I have really enjoyed. I did talk about a few episodes back that we got Eclipse Second Dawn for the Galaxy, I believe is that one called, and we finally got that to the table this month, in the month of February. And basically it's the exact same game, but with better art, and it fixed the number one issue that I had with Eclipse. There's some dust on this, so it's kind of affecting me a little bit. But it fixed the number one issue that I did have with Eclipse, and that is the setup time. The setup time for Eclipse is just miserable, the first edition at least, because you have all these individual tiles. You have a tech board that you need to make sure is built out properly. And it's just, it could take an hour. The setup time for this game is just ridiculous, especially when the game time could take 2 to 3 hours. Like a third of the play time could be just set in setup time. So I have decided that I no longer need the first edition Eclipse because the second edition fills every need that I have for this game. And this one I was holding on to for the same reason I was holding on to War of the Ring First Edition, is I have 2 expansions that are part of this, which I have actually unsealed. They were sealed as well, but I did unseal them and included it into the game. But they're part of this. So I have two rare expansions as well as the first edition, and I was holding on to for the same reason I was holding on to War of the Ring. Just collector's piece, but I really don't need to. So those will be moving on. And the last game that I picked up that I have in stock, the other ones are still in the mail, are the Lord of the Rings, the card game. I picked up the Dark of Mirkwood scenario pack. Still haven't unboxed it. I've been kind of waiting for the other ones. They have some starter decks that also came out, so I picked up those, but they haven't showed up in the mail. They should be here in the next few days. They're taking a little longer. I think it's because they were pre-order. And so once those arrive, I'll go through all the Lord of the Rings stuff and sleeve them up. That's another thing. I didn't really talk about this. The Lord of the Rings second edition. I wanted to sleeve all the cards up. They come with tarot cards. And when I was looking online, everyone was saying 70 by 120 millimeter tarot cards. And they even have Sleeve Kings, who I buy my sleeves from. At the top, it says War of the Ring cards. So I get them and I put them in. I should have had a video of this or taken a picture. It was so stupid. I put the card in, and the cards of the War of the Ring are narrower or are thinner than most tarot cards by 2 millimeters. And so I had to go online and did more digging and found out that the cards in War of the Ring are actually 68 by 120 millimeter. And so I don't know why all these companies are branding the 70 millimeter as the option for this, because that is a lot. Like 2 millimeters doesn't seem like a lot, but in terms of a sleeve, that's a lot. So I was upset because I just bought the sleeves for this. I bought 3 packs of War of the Ring to fully sleeve it up, and they were unusable. So I had to rebuy more sleeves. Luckily, Miniature Market had it. But what sucks about that too is that I'm buying 3 packs of sleeves. They're like $2.50 a piece, and then I got to pay $10 shipping. So I'm paying like the exact cost in shipping alone to get these sleeves that should have been free shipping when I bought the game from Miniature Market in the first place, because if it's over $100, it's free shipping. So that was a little annoying, but I digress. That was like if you would have seen me sitting here trying to sleeve my game, and like these sleeves that are clearly being branded for War of the Ring are not working for War of the Ring, it was pretty bad. Which makes me wonder, now I'm thinking about it, I can't remember what the card size are in the original. So maybe War of the Ring first edition has 70 millimeter. That's a good question. I'm not going to pull it out right now, but after this video, I'll take a look and wonder if maybe that's a discrepancy, because that would be really annoying. But yeah. So other than that, that's all the new games. I did get some prototypes in though. So we are going to be covering these. Not this one yet. This actually got delayed. This was going to be coming out. This is the Dark Quarter by Van Ryder Games and Lucky Duck. And this was going to be coming out in March, but it's been delayed. I talked about this on the my Discord. If you guys are interested in the Discord, links are always down below. Check out the Discord. Join the community. We'd love to have you be part of it. I really, really enjoy having my viewers in there as well, so we can all talk. But this game is going to be pretty cool, I think. This is basically a take on the Destiny's system, but a better focus on the characters and the development of the characters, rather than just you're aimlessly walking through a scenario, which is kind of what Destiny's was. Yes, you were this character, but you had no development. There was no other than your skills developed. Yes, like I got a little better at green dice rolling, but there was no development in terms of who your character was, because you played a different character each map. This one is promising to have that character development, so you care about your character potentially in the story that you're building in it. And they really wanted to focus on the world building as well. So all of those things sound exciting, and I'm telling you, I think this will be one of the games of the month come February. The next one that I got is, and I talked about this as well in the Discord, is the Kingdoms Forlorn. I just realized the box is not straight on the back. The Kingdoms Forlorn prototype. The pledge at the time of this recording, Kingdoms Forlorn has already ended. It just ended today. And I already knew that I was not going to be able to get a review for this game prior to the campaign ending. So basically, we're going to be doing a video for this for the late pledge, kind of talking about, now that I've had a chance to play this and we've seen all the content for the late pledge, what is worth it, is, etc. But I actually did back the game at the core level for right now, in case you were wondering. So that is everything. That talks about the new games, talked about the classics, Darker Than Mirkwood, letting go some classics, we talked about that, and the prototypes. So normally at this point we talk about what we've been playing, anything interesting. Not really, because the last thing I talked about was Betrayal Legacy, which we finally finished, thank God. Really did not like that game. It was just not that I didn't like the game, it just was not a good game. It's not a well-made game. And then Eclipse, Second Dawn of the Galaxy. We talked about all that already today. Dune Imperium. We actually missed a play on here. I forgot to record it. I'll take care of it. But Dune Imperium, we got a chance to play that with the Rise of Ix expansion. And I will tell you, that game blew me away in terms of how much I enjoyed it. I would love to review it soon, but I want to get some more plays in it because right now we just have that singular play. But my first impression for Dune was very high. I like deck builders. That is a bias that I've already had. I've expressed that before. So deck builders, and I think that comes from my Magic the Gathering background in terms of how I play games. But Dune Imperium played very well for me in terms of the deck building, the strategy that I was trying to implement in the deck I wanted to make, and as well as the worker placement locations and the scarcity of the locations, because for the most part you're not able to go where someone else has already gone. So turn order matters, placement matters, all of it matters. And I really liked that throughout the game that we were playing, I was crafting what I thought was a very powerful deck, and I knew that I was still in the game, but two people thought that they were going to win. And on the final turn, I was able to do a bunch of things, end the game at 10 points, and was still able to collect more points based off some of my final game scoring. So really, really liked it. The only thing, and I feel like this with almost every deck builder, by the time I felt like my deck was actually starting to be good is when the game ended. And so it's almost a game that I was like, man, I wish it was like 1 or 2 more victory points longer than where we're at. But also in a 4-player mode, it bumps you up from like from 0 points to 1 point. Like it bumps up 1 already. So you lose a victory point. I might just say now we're going to start at 0 because I want that feeling of being able to have my deck be fully built and operational, like a Death Star, the fully armed and operational. That's what I like, and that's every deck builder. Sometimes I'm playing these games and I'm just like, I finally get my deck going, and I want to enjoy it. I want to feel it fleshed out. I want to feel the power of the deck that I built, and so that's just me. I felt like that with Dominion. I felt like that with Moonrakers. I feel like that with any deck builder that I've ever played. I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor. So that's about it. We played King's Dilemma. That's the new Legacy game that our group's working on, and enjoyed it. Not quite what I was expecting. Not a bad thing. I'm just holding off any types of commentary in terms of my opinion until I've experienced more. But it's been very good. I've enjoyed it so far. But again, I also really like my player group. They make gaming in general enjoyable. And why I play board games in the first place is for friends like that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast episode of Collection Update with Game Brigade. If you guys enjoyed this show, please remember to leave a subscription, leave a comment, and leave a thumbs up. And I would really appreciate if you guys left more comments and just talk, because I like to read them. It makes my day whenever I read people's comments. So that's about it. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to get out of here. Got to edit it and get it uploaded for you guys for tomorrow. So I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.